Welcome. I'm excited to see that people are jumping into the chat box. If you take a look on the side of this happening, you will see that there is a chat box. You can say hi there. I'm popping in my hello. This is the space for you to put any of your questions, which I'm going to open up to in a moment. So morning. It's morning here. I don't know what time it is where you are at, but welcome. I'm Deanne Love. If you don't know who I am so excited to be hanging out with you this morning and answering questions, because at this time when I open up the Hoop Love Coach training, I always get a lot of questions. So that's what this is all about. Oh, hey, Justine's in Coffs Harbour. That's like just down the road. Well, how many? Maybe 5 hours drive from here. I'm on the Gold Coast in Australia. It is paradise. It's so beautiful this morning. I should have taken you to the beach with me. I hope that everyone can hear me. This will also be recorded, and there are some other questions that people have emailed in. And so what's going to happen, how this is all going to work is your questions are going to be filtering through in the chat box, and I'm going to be trying to answer them as quickly as I can and as completely as I can. This is also being recorded, so I will send the recording to everyone. And I also have a little slideshow. Hopefully you can see my face. Sometimes I'll switch my face off if it's kind of interfering. And I've got some info about the Hoop Love Coach training. You can, oh wow, Laura's from Silicon Valley, California. Welcome. My gosh, what time is it there? World clocks, I appreciate you so much for being here at this time, because I know that we're all on different time zones. So for whatever reason, if you need to jump out or jump back in, that's okay. If something happens and the internet breaks or our connection gets lost or whatever, that is very rare. But if that happens, then I will get back to you. Like I will just jump into email and connect with you that way. Okay, so hopefully you can see my little slide show. I love making these things. I love creating all of the stuff that I share with you. I don't know, we'll get to that in a moment, like how we're connected and your love for hooping, or maybe you're new to it or wherever you're at on your journey. But I hope that it is apparent that I'm pretty into this hooping thing. I've been doing it for 12 years now, and it just keeps growing and growing, which I'm so excited about. So Lorette says, I want to join, but I just started hooping. I have to sign up for the next Hoop Love Coach training. Yeah, this is a big thing. And I don't mind like just going straight into this right now, but a lot of people are like, oh, I just started hooping, so I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. My story very quickly was, as soon as I started hooping, I wanted to teach. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I would say is that it's an evolving journey. And I know for myself, not just with hooping, but with other things, I've come to this point in my evolution of learning and teaching and sharing, where my big question is, what are you waiting for? And I ask this to myself, why are you waiting? So I'm waiting to be ready. I'm waiting to be good enough. That time is like some distant made up future. What you have is now. And this is, to myself, if it's like, yeah, okay, so it's just not right. It's not aligned. I can come up with a million different reasons why it's not going to work for me now. But there's something that I need to do to start this now. So and I'm not just saying with Hoop Love Coach training or hooping or whatever, but for me, like I'm doing writing courses or kind of like creative courses or online marketing or anything, like even like building relationships, or it could be, it's not just about this. It's like, well, I'll do that when I'm ready, which is like way over there. It doesn't exist. What I have now is this drive and this passion. So I'm going to go with this right now and know that it's a journey. And like, even when we are talking about Hoop Love Coach training, that's 12 weeks of action taking. And that's just the beginning. So, but that's not to say, like, when you sit with yourself and you question, like, where am I at? If all of the excuses of not good enough, not ready are like, really coming at you, sit with those as well and ask yourself, are they just something that's holding you back, or is that your real truth? So it's something that you really need to connect with. And I hear it all the time from my own brain. So so Laura's like, that's me. I'm worried I won't even be able to hoop it around my waist. Here's the big thing about hooping. It's about playtime and action. And you, with those things, playtime and action, you can only get better. I'm still getting better. I've been doing this 12 years. I'm still learning things, and that's exciting. It means that I'm never getting bored. And when I first started teaching, it was total beginners. People had never, ever picked up a hula hoop in their whole entire life. So I had the fear like, oh, but I can't even hoop on my knees. I don't know how to chest hoop properly. Like I can look at all the reasons, or I could have looked at all the reasons why I wasn't going to be a great teacher for them. But I developed, and this is what I share with you in Hoop Love Coach Training, I developed these classes that support your students as total beginners and then support you as a teacher and guide you through, particularly in the Hoop Love Coach Training. I want to show you a little bit, and I'll quickly flick through these slides of what I share with you in the training to support your development. I'm not taking anyone, and some of you will be coming at this as a very experienced hooper, which is great. And you're looking more for like how you can support diversity, or how you can, hooping and teaching are two different modalities. They're two different skill sets. And so Hoop Love Coach Training is about combining those together. I'm going to read some of your beautiful comments that are coming through, because I feel if I read them out, some other people who are tuning in and listening to this will also really connect with it. So Justina says, I was feeling that way and I just started taking my hoops to the park and encouraging people to play at the market. So I'm putting a basic beginner class and kids together. Yes. Okay. So we will come up against, no matter what it is, not just Hoop Love Coach Training, we will come up against these, like, I'm not good enough, because we're humans. And we live in a situation where we are seeing other humans putting their sparkly best, amazing, most perfect images, not always, but sometimes, on social media. So we're getting this comparison as well. Our brains are designed to look and compare. That's what we do. That's how the brain functions. So how we can react to that is, oh, I'm not as good as her, or I'm not great, or I can't do that. And that's okay. So we can take that information that's being poured into our brains, and it's up to us then to take action on that, to take positive action. Yeah, I can't do those tricks. I can't do those tricks. Isn't that an exciting spot to be in? I can't do that. I desire to do that. I'm going to learn to do that. That is going to fill my life with experience and expansion. Or I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. I kind of suck. I probably shouldn't do this. Can you see the difference? I can go into those modes as well, but we catch ourselves, and the way that we can catch ourselves is to practice and move and play and explore and expand and share. And so, yeah, it was Justine who was like, that was my experience as well. I was like, I love hooping. It brings me joy. It has changed my body. I don't know everything. How could I? I just started, but I know that I want to share it. How can I do this? And sometimes, maybe you have this experience as well. Sometimes your vision is so big, like you're like, I'm going to share it with the whole entire planet. How do I go from here, where I am just starting out, to there? That seems too big. It seems too much. But if we take little steps, I'm going to take my hoops to the park. For some people, and for me back 12 years ago, that was a big step. That is a huge step to be out in public. So even steps before that, I'm going to practice when my kids go to bed, or I'm just going to, spin the hoop on my waist every day to one song, because even after a week, you're going to see massive changes, massive, massive changes. And that action taking catapults things. It makes things roll. sitting in our own like, oh, I'm never gonna. It's okay. Some days are like that. I still have those days. I watch them. I smile at them. I have compassion for them. There are some days where I'm stuck and I do nothing, and that's okay. That will pass. And then the next day or the next week, I'll be filled with energy because our rhythms, our natural rhythms are up and down. We're not this, we can't be. You need to rest, recover. Julian says guilty, still comparing myself to other girls' flow, which you can't do considering we have all different, you have different personalities. I don't know if you have seen how I move. I've definitely evolved in my movement as my body has changed, as my life has changed, as my inspirations have changed. One of the bigger things that, like say 10 years ago, so talking a really long time, I've been absorbing lots of other people's stuff. Any inspiration that was coming into me that was creating this major impact on my comparison meter, I stopped following them. That is not a negative. It's not like I don't like you, so I'm going to block. It's not that. It's for my inspiration and for my growth, because I want to be the best leader, or I want to be the most compassionate human to myself. I don't need that information coming in. What I need is, maybe it's music, or maybe it's real life connection with friends and sharing. So being really, really discerning about what it is that you want to bring in. Justine said that it was encouraging to get feedback from people. Everyone was super excited and asked me so many questions and asked if I can teach them. Okay, this is the most powerful. We haven't even gotten to any of the Hoop Love Coach training stuff at all, because this is so juicy. What I really, really need you to understand is that when we sit back in indecision, or when we sit back in inaction, we can't get any of that feedback. And the most dominant, actually, sometimes we have so many imagined fears. If I take my hoops to the park, everyone's going to laugh at me. I can't even do those cool tricks. So why would people want to learn from me? Like that kind of, that mental chatter. The real experience, though, 9.5 times out of 10, 999.9 out of 10 is just what you experienced. Everyone's so encouraging. People will want to give you feedback. And do you know the way that I have grown online, the way that I have grown as a teacher is because of you. Because I listen, I do things like this where I'm like, what's up? What are you feeling? How can we connect? That is the best way for you to improve as a hooper, as a teacher, as a human, is to connect with other humans, because it's so easy for us to sit back and be like, well, they'll probably think I'm not very good, or they might not want to buy my hoops, or maybe they'll think it's expensive, or who wants to come to a hoop class anyway? Lots of people. Lots and lots of people want to, in my experience, many, many people want to come to a hoop class. So the only way, and look, I'm not denying it can be really scary, but the feedback, the positive excitement that you will get will juice you up so much that you want to do it again and again and again and again. Grab a friend, get a family member. When I first was going out to the park all the time, and this is how I started my whole entire journey, was going to the park in the middle of Tokyo, where I knew there would be the most humans who would possibly stop and see me and just want to play with me, because I didn't have anyone else to hoop with. I don't know I was just about to say, I don't know where I got the courage from. I got the courage from the fact that I knew that this changed me and it would change others. And at that point, I didn't care if I was selling out classes, or if I was doing world tours, or if I was I wasn't even on Instagram. I didn't care about those things. I cared about connection. And so in Hoop Love Coach training, the first module, before we even get to any of the tricks or any of the physical stuff, it's what is it that you really, really care about? Why are you even doing this? Because if you understand that, if you know that, and that's my why has kept me going for 12 years, if you get that and you hold on to that, all of these other excuses and fear and guilt and intensity and sometimes just feeling really, really scared about it all or defeated, that won't matter. Because you'll keep coming back to, why am I doing this? Even on the days where things don't work out. So Julian says, when I first picked up a hoop, you were the first person I found on YouTube and watched constantly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're amazing. Great teacher. Thank you. And this is the feedback that you will be getting to when you share with people. Trust me. It's just how it goes. When we offer something, when we give a service, particularly of joy and fun and pleasure, the things that people crave so badly, you will also have that feedback. And it will become this, it becomes this fuel to do more. Justine, I had all those feels. I broke through the fears and got some positive responses. Yeah, breaking through the fears. It's really big stuff. It is. Trust me. Yeah, and Laura, this is a really great tip too. Remember that most people can't hoop at all. They don't even know that a small hoop and a big hoop are different things. So you are guiding them. Well, like, I know that sometimes, actually a lot of times, because I've worked with thousands of teachers, the excuse is, I'm not this world-class sector solid. I can't split six hoop. I can't do all these things here. Your students are working on, first of all, for many of your students, actually having the courage to turn up to class. That's step one. So we're working with how to connect, how to bring people together, how to, for many women and men, how to unlock their body and their joy and their freedom, all the things that you are on the path, and I'm on the path every single day to doing. So it's more than just how to spin the hoop on your waist. And I'm sure you know that because you felt those feelings yourself. Yeah, so that's right. Oh, I almost knocked over my water. I got so excited. Yeah, Laura's like, remember that most people can't hoop at all. So anything, like the stories, the shift, like there are so, and I do, I do teach you so many tricks and how to teach them, how to get people to really absorb them into their physical body and their emotional state. So I do, it's not just like all fun and games. There's a lot of teaching technique and strategy that I share with you. Justine says, you're welcome. I used to do that, but then I started hooping in front of my family at the gym and then started recording myself and posting videos, and I got great feedback. Definitely helped me to break out of my comfort zone by taking those steps. Yeah, so I remember for me too, going to the park was a big step. I worried, like, people were going to be like, who's that lady with the hula hoops? Like, that's a little bit weird. And at that time I was 30 years old. So I also had those like, oh, you're too old to do this, or like those weird conditions that just life presents to us, or this is not going to work, or, I even had, and all feedback may not be positive. You might have people in your life who are like, what? What are you doing now? You're teaching hula hoops. Well, that's, like that energy can come at you. And yes, I was in a full-time career that I'd studied very, very hard for. That was like my life dream and job. And then I decided to quit all of that to become a hula hoop teacher. You can imagine that some people in my family and close friendship circles thought maybe I wasn't okay. They were worried about me. Of course, because like, what on earth would I be doing? Like, this was an unknown industry. This was like, this hula hooping, isn't that a fad? Isn't that something like, just like little kids do? No, turns out it is a global phenomenon that just keeps growing. And I can tell you that it keeps growing for like, I could sit here all night, all day telling you that it's been growing from my personal experience. But one of the big things or big reasons that gives me feedback these days as to how it's been growing is my YouTube channel. So I started and this is just a little tip for like teachers who are thinking like, is it really a thing? Isn't hooping dead? I don't think it's going to work in my area. All those things that come up. My YouTube channel, I started probably really seriously about 4 or 5 years ago, like really consistently, maybe a little bit longer. How long have I been doing this? This year and towards the end of last year has seen the most incredible organic growth ever in the history of my YouTube channel. And I haven't been working as consistently and as hard as I once did, which tells me, so what I mean by growth is there is more watches, there is more subscribers. It's just like booming. So like a little while ago, it was 100,000 and now it's like 100 and I don't know, it's organically booming. I'm not spending any money promoting it. I'm not pushing it in any way, which tells me that people are searching for ways to move their body. People are seeing hooping more. They're searching it out. They're wanting to get involved. They're wanting to have this as part of their life, and that's organically growing. So if you ask me if hooping, is it like, is it a thing? Could it happen? Could it work in my area? The proof is in the stats. It's happening. It's growing. Laura says, I have a friend who just took the class and is finding that the city and other organizations aren't willing to have her come in and teach the class. Will we get anything in terms of a template to help explain what the classes are about? Has anyone ever experienced that? Okay, so there are many different avenues for you to take your hoop teaching down. And yes, every community is quite different. I have built communities in different cities, in different countries around the world, and every single one of them, and I've also visited many different communities, and they're all quite different. So one of the first things is kind of getting to know, and I love this part of it. I love researching and trying to understand and build connections. One of the first things that we kind of look into is, what do I want to offer? And then how do I make connections with people in my community? And yeah, sometimes, like I remember when I was in Japan, initially it was really hard to like book recreational center, because I just wanted to do everything independently. I didn't want to be like hired by, at that time, and I've gone through many different incarnations, hired by a dance school or, but for some communities, that's a really valuable collaboration, like a yoga school or a dance school or a gymnastics school. Like you teaching under their banner works really well, particularly in your growth stage, because they have a student base and you can connect with, it's a really great way to do it. But when I was in Japan, it was really hard because they were like, what is hooping? And I remember I had to, I ended up teaching in gyms and in rec centers, and I was at a dance school, and I was also hiring out spaces on my own. So I was like dabbling in all the different ways. And I share that with you in Hoop Love Coach Training, like all the different kind of avenues. I think actually I wrote a blog not too long ago that was like 50 places you can teach hoop dance. And that's just like one set of ideas that you can do it in lots of different ways, as an independent, as a contractor. A lot of Hoop Love coaches are like doing festivals, or some are like more into the hoop making side of things, and so they're setting up and doing. So there's many different ways. And yeah, so Laura says that her friend says that finding the city and other organizations aren't willing to have her come in. So if you're seeing like, yeah, okay, there's a few different ways that you can tackle that. The city. So I'm assuming it's like the council. So let's say, for example, you go in and you say, this, you don't do it this way, but hey, I want to teach a hoop class at your council gym or your YMCA. And depending on the person that you connect with, they're like, hoop class, what does that mean? So you may have to do some extra kind of connection and building with that person. Or maybe you bump into the right person who's like, oh, my cousin, yeah, like I've heard that so there's often different, it's not just this one and nothing in life. Like I'm thinking back to when I was a primary school teacher, there was like, going for jobs and like applying for different schools. It was like, when it aligned and things worked out, you get this really cool job, and then other times you'd have to turn down jobs. So the same thing kind of happens with hooping. Knowing your community is a really incredible way to make connections. And at the end of the Hoop Love Coach training, I invite you to the big global Hoop Love Coach group. And you will see that, I mean, there's almost 1,000 Hoop Love coaches in there now. You will see that there is such diversity in the way that you can share. So if you're coming up against like, well, the rec center doesn't want me to teach there. And it can be hard to get that knockback to be like, when people don't understand what it is that we're offering, the rec center doesn't want me to teach because they do CrossFit, or their boss or their coordinator is more into yoga or dance or something else, and they don't quite get what hooping is yet. There are so many other avenues for you, and it's really important to understand that. I know the feeling of being like, oh, they don't get hooping. We can either work to show them and be like, hey, well, would you like me to do like a demo class? I'd love to come in and share with you and the staff. And that's one, if that suits your way of offering, then that's one way. Or you can be like, okay, there's another space for me if it feels like you don't want to keep digging into the rec center example. So let me see. Yes, Lorette says, I'm 37 and some people don't understand or support me on my hoop journey. I think I read a really, really cool meme or a quote recently that said something like, why are we asking people who are not on the journey of our dreams how to go on that journey? I know it's really hard when people, especially people that are close to you or others around you, or sometimes even strangers, can be the hardest when they don't understand or they question or they're like, sometimes it can be something, just a little thing that someone says. Sometimes it can even be a facial expression, like a, what are you doing that for kind of thing, that can really knock us off our journey. And this is why, coming back to that why, it's like, no, everyone's not supposed to get it. Everyone doesn't want to be sharing hooping, and that's fine. There's no one else in my family that's a hula hoop teacher. And which it can be hard because social conditions are like, well, if my dad was a lawyer and I should be a lawyer, and that kind of paradigm doesn't exist. And we're creating something that is really new, and it can be challenging because you will get questions. Your why will give you the answer. I remember I had this time when once my auntie questioned me, like I had been hoop teaching really successfully and really abundantly, and I felt really solid in what I was doing and sharing. I had no question. And I remember once at my grandparents' house, my auntie was like, something, she didn't mean to, and I love her so much, but it was something like, you're still doing that hoop thing? Is that going well for you? And I felt myself get really defensive in that moment, because I was like, whoa, I love, this is what I love, I'm sharing. And I felt that I still had some of that kind of old pain in me of people questioning what I was doing. So it was a really interesting time to watch, like, yeah, I am doing well, and I do really love it, and I am changing lives, and that gives me purpose. And I should celebrate that. Not everyone's going to understand it. In fact, a lot of people won't understand it. And we have a choice. We can explain it to them with love and compassion, or we can just keep doing our thing and keep growing. Justine says, that's where I'm kind of at, around the same age. Yeah, age, guess what? Just keep moving. Doesn't matter if you're 19 or 93. The most, and this is so valuable for your community as well. I see it even where I live is quite an active, out there community. But yeah, I mean, women and men, their bodies change and shift because they retire them. Sometimes for health reasons. Maybe their health practitioner is like, you shouldn't be moving in that way or whatever. But retiring the body and telling it that it's too old to move or groove or whatever is one of the most dangerous things that we can do. And so providing this outlet of joy and movement and expression for people of all ages, definitely not just kids, or definitely not just 20-year-olds, or definitely not just 80-year-olds, is a really powerful service to your community and to yourself to have your own personal practice. Speaking of hooping growing, I'm wondering if you could speak to the ideas of stepping on toes. I learned hooping for 3 years from a great teacher who still teaches in a town about 15 minutes away, and it's the only teacher in the area. I don't want her to feel like I'm taking her business. Beautiful question. Yeah, as we grow and expand and change, there's going to be new classes, new offerings popping up, sometimes within the same areas. And this is something that you will have to explore for yourself. Does it feel right for you to go and have a conversation with that teacher and thank her so much for everything that she's offered, and tell her that she's been such an amazing inspiration and that you are now on the part of your journey where you want to grow as a teacher, and how have some open, clear communication on how you're going to set some boundaries, how she feels about that. Some people are going to feel really upset about it. Some people are going to feel really angry, I would say, and then other people are going to celebrate you like nobody's business, because they're so in their own journey and they're so in their own creativity and expression that you are not going to be a threat to them at all. I have seen many different ups and downs with lots of different teachers, and mostly it's all support and celebration. Sometimes there is a little bit of friction, and I would say that comes from, maybe a lack of communication, or just not quite knowing, like, are they, I've seen situations, and I think this is really inappropriate. It just kind of shows a lack of awareness, where some teachers go into like the same studio or the same area. Obviously you sound like, because you really do care about this and you care about your teacher, that you would have a discussion with her, that you're not going to go in and step on toes, as you were saying. So it really is about communication and sitting with what feels right for you, but also knowing that it's not a situation to hold you back. It's really, really important that you also live out your own journey and do what you need to do. And clearly teaching hooping or sharing in some way is like really growing for you, and having that compassion and care for your teacher or people in your area is really valuable, but also making sure that you have the compassion and care for yourself. Communication is really powerful. Yeah. Let me know how that goes. It's really great that you're open and understanding. Julian says, I live in, there we go. I live in PA, and it's hard for me to find a hoop workshop camp going on near me. That's my next step for sure. And definitely can't wait for other people's approval, because all that does is discourage you. People are scared to be different and really go after their dreams. Yeah, we don't need to wait for permission. It's 2019. We live in a world where there is so much going on, the big and the bad and the terrible, and the beautiful and powerful and open and creative. And so we're waiting for permission in our privileged state. It's just holding us back. Also touching on that, if you can't find hoop teachers in your area, or there's not a lot going on, it's a really powerful, beautiful space to be in. It can be tricky because you're spending a lot of time kind of educating people about this hoop thing, if it's not happening, but also you have this free, open space to share and create and research and check what your community needs and where you can show up and offer. Laura says the city runs all kinds of recreation programs, and they said no, there wouldn't be any interest. I agree. Yes, that's it. They said no, there wouldn't be any interest. That's okay. Because you live in a really abundant big city. So what happens when we get a no, or we get a weird what, or we get a I don't understand, or that is one person who, or sometimes it might be a board of people who've made that decision because they don't understand what it is that we're offering. So we either open up, like give them a better, sometimes if it's like, hello, can I teach hoop classes? No. I'm not saying that that's what anyone's done, but they don't quite understand. So it's like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to share, or I'm going to offer them a free class, or I'm going to do something in the park and I'll video it and I'll share. If that rec center is your absolute, I'm going to nail that, that is my one and only goal, then we work to open up their mind about it. But if it's like, oh, that's just one avenue, then we can move away and on from that. And maybe it's been my experience. So I've had a really similar, when I moved back to Australia and I was like, what am I doing? I don't know. I've got, I was starting all over again. I knew that I was excellent at teaching kids because it had been my career. And I knew that I had epic kids teaching programs. And I knew that I knew it. So I like you're knowing, like, I know I can do this. But the big companies that ran all the kids, so in certain parts of Australia, there are like these parent companies that run all of the kids after school and holiday programs. And if you can crack them, then you are set. You are going to get so many jobs. But I couldn't crack them in the beginning. They said no. Oh, no, we've got circus or something. They were like, no. I tried. So I was doing other things. Wasn't because one company says no doesn't mean I'm going to be like, oh, well, my hoop teaching days are over. No, I was doing adult classes at night. I was teaching kids independently. I was going around to different schools doing it on my own. But I knew that if I could get those companies to hire me, they give me like hundreds of schools, right? So it was different to me going to promote at different schools or making connections with teachers or parents and getting like a few gigs here and there. I knew like maybe like the Rex, I don't know what the Rec Center offers. Sometimes we have to do like really kind of do a bit of reflection, be like, is this really what I want to do? And it took me a while. I kept building myself. I kept building like my kind of presence as a kids hoop teacher. I kept like showing up to other gigs. I kept being like, but that's my goal, that I know that if I get that gig, if I can present to these people. And I actually think that it took like a change of coordinator, because the past coordinator, you don't know like that sometimes people have connections with other people, other service providers, and sometimes it just takes that, keep that focus, keep that action happening. I'm gonna get there. I know it because that's my goal. And I'll just keep working at it in different ways. And then after, I don't know how many years it was of sending them off my portfolio and being like, hey, I can totally this. I got all the gigs. They out of the blue, they emailed me and they were like, hey, do you want to do the whole East Coast of Australia teaching? We've got all these contracts for you. But it didn't happen the first time. It so didn't happen the first time. It's a very rare situation for something that big that is your goal, for you to just like call up and be like, hello, I'm a hoop teacher, hire me. Many times it's going to take like just research and understanding and working up towards that goal. Sometimes you get lucky and they're like, yes, we love you. I love hula hoops. Bring it on. So yeah. Okay, I'm from Oregon, low bandwidth and speed, so no visuals and sound yet. Oh, I'm going to have to send you the recording. Okay, here's the question. This is what I want to get into because you have so many awesome questions. What does the coursework consist of? I've looked at the module breakdown, but I mean like quizzes and you sent me an email. I got your email this morning. I am going to show you what the course looks like. Yes, I'm just checking your question. Okay, all right, let's have a little look at the course. So hopefully you can see my slides. I wanted to share with you what you get, because this is a big question. They're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to become a hoop teacher. We're going to do this together. We're going to co-create and collaborate. But what do I got to do? Good question. This is me. I created Hoop Love Coach Training, hooplovers.tv. You may know me through YouTube or Instagram or some of those, or maybe we've like actually hung out together. That would be a dream. And a little bit, I'm getting to know you, where you're from and what's going on. Let's get to it. I'm going to just go straight into it. So it's an online training. A few people have asked me where the training is. It's with you. Wherever you are on the planet, you can do it. You can stream or download it 24/7. So you log in, and I know some people travel while they're doing this, so you can like get all of the materials and you can download it if that works for you onto a hard drive or whatever. Or if you have an internet connection, you can view it at any time. And there's video and there's audio and it's written as well. Community support, you will be in a community of teachers and you will have me. And then after the Hoop Love Coach training, it is the global group that is, I've worked with some of those teachers for years and years and years, and they've been like evolving and building and changing their offerings. And so they get together and ask questions like, hey, what's the cheapest insurance? Or hey, have you got a song for my choreography this week? Or hey, I had a really bad day. What do you do when that happens? Like any single thing that you could think of that a hoop teacher might bump up against or celebrate is in that group. Learn from an expert. Is that me? I have been doing this for a very long time. I have been through the ups and downs and I still continue to evolve, and I'm here for you, with you. You can learn at your own pace. I say I want to guide you through in 12 weeks. For some people, that does not work because of life. And so I'm here. I'm not a robot. I'm a human. I connect with you. If we get to the end of the 12 weeks and you're like, you know what? I need some extra time and support, it's there for you. Okay, what are we up to? All right, so this is how, and hopefully, this answers your question. This is a little bit more of a deep dive into what it is that is inside the training, so you can have a little look at it. We start off with a preparation. This is really, really important. Rather than just like diving straight into it, a preparation pack that gets you to understand your why, gets you to be like, okay, I've got all this stuff that's going on, but here I am. This is my journey. This is what I want to do. Either part-time, full-time, a little bit over here, whatever it is. It's like understanding what you're doing and why, and just preparing you for this training and to be a hoop teacher is really important. So the first module is I would say the most in-depth, and it is setting you up for success. And you are going to dive into what I call is your special sauce. And we talked about comparison and all of that stuff that comes up. And the thing is that no one, and I can share with you like exact examples, and I share with you video classes, and I share with you choreographies, and I share with you every single thing that I have built to be a hoop teacher, but you are going to do it in your way. And that's really powerful that you do it in your way. It's essential that you do it in your way. And so this module is about setting that up for you. And there are so many questions in this module, and some of them you will not know the answers to, because it's impossible, because you haven't started teaching. But for some of you who've been dabbling in kind of you'll have a clearer vision. And one of the cool things is that at the end of the training, we have some revision time, and I really ask you to come back to this module and see what's changed over the 12 weeks. One of the questions that I get, and Em, I think you asked this as well, was like, how much time do I need to spend? What have I got to do? I've got a busy life, because we all do, right? So how much time do I need to spend? On average, most Hoop Love coaches spend anywhere between 4 to 8 hours a week. There are going to be some weeks where you're like, I've got so much free time and I'm really focused and I want to do this, and there's access for you anytime to do that. And there's going to be some weeks where you're like, 4 hours is like pressing my brain and my body. And that's why I give you some extra space at the end so you can do some catch up. And it's not like I just like open up the training and dump it all on you. Like week by week, we go through the module. And so on those weeks where you're feeling like, time is a little bit strained for you, you might only be able to dedicate an hour in that week. And that's okay, because I don't lock you out. It's like this continuing process, and you can come back to the training anytime you want. So for some people, they do the training now and they're like, I don't think I'm going to teach till like February 2020. And in February 20 or January 2020, when you're like, oh, I'm starting hoop classes next month, or I've got this gig that I have to teach at a workshop at a festival or whatever, you're going to come back to the training and you're going to, go through the modules that have the very specific workshop examples, and you're going to pull out all the stuff, and you're going to write your class plans that way. And you're going to watch the videos again and be like, oh, that's how I teach the backwards weave. Because you can keep coming back to the training as a resource anytime you like. That's really, really important. Okay, module 2, this is like the most epic one in terms of watch time. You don't need to get it all done in week 2 at all. This is 100 tricks, the foundation of hooping, 100 tricks and how to teach them. And each trick has a video of me teaching you how to teach that trick. And there's a trick list as well that you can tick off. You don't need to know all of those 100 tricks. Have it as a goal. Have it as something that for your and some of you might know all of the 100 tricks, but you need to learn how to teach them really safely, creatively, effectively. Have it as a goal. So it's like, okay, I know 10 of these tricks. I'm a rock star. I'm going to work towards 20. I'm going to work, like, I didn't know how to do all the tricks when I first started teaching, but what I had was a passion and a desire and a need to evolve my personal practice. A lot of teachers say that this module is really powerful for their personal practice because it's like this checklist. Like, I know that I don't know all of these tricks right now, but I will. And the only way that I will is through practice. So it's a really fun one. It's a big one that you can come back to time and time again. Okay. Module 3, sequences to support flow. If you have seen me teaching on YouTube or wherever, you know that I love sequences or flow sessions, and that's where we put tricks and transitions together so that people can express in flow. The ultimate state for all hoopers is that flow, and flow with the movements and tricks. So I share with you so many examples. I know some of you want to teach a more fitness style, and some of you might want to teach a more flow style, and some of you might want to teach a combination of that. So I give you many different examples, break them down trick by trick, and share them with you. There are unlimited ways for you to teach flow sessions. Some of you will want to do a like choreography to music and break it down and build that over like your 8-week course. Some of you will be going in and doing one-off corporate gigs, and so you'll just want like 5 tricks that you can put together and teach a flow in 1 hour kind of thing. So I know there are so many different ways to do it, so I give you so many different flow sessions. Yes. Hopefully this is helping. It's Sunny. She lives in Greece and she has the hoop retreat there. There's so many amazing, incredible hoop love coaches that I really can't wait for you to meet. They're doing epic things, like epic things. I'm like blown away by them. Okay. Module 4 is crafting classes, workshops, and parties, because you as a hoop teacher might be doing all of these different things. Some people are really into teaching classes at their local gym, and that's what they're going to focus on because that's the match for their community. Others might be doing workshops at festivals or corporates or schools or birthday parties, and others might be doing that parties. Like you show up, you teach a fun flow session at birthday parties and wedding parties and do you call them hens parties where you're at? It's like it's a really big thing in Australia. Before people are getting married, they have these parties and they celebrate, and a lot of hoop teachers get booked for those, which is it's super fun. It's a really good gig. So I teach you how to bachelorette party. Yes, thank you, Laura. I always get, I don't know why we call it a hen. Like that's kind of like, it's a bit weird, but yes, a bachelorette party. They are so big here. And I guess it depends on the demographic of where you're living. Like if I live in an area where there's lots of young women and young families, so it's a huge thing. If you live in a community where a bachelorette party is just like unheard of, then you might be offering workshops at maybe aged care facilities, or you might be offering workshops at like yoga retreats, so it's about researching and understanding your community. Yes, but here it's like I break down exactly if you're going to do, for example, an 8-week course, then I break down the progression of that in video and written format. And also I give you playlists and class plans, like all the things that you need, to kind of, but you don't have to do it exactly as I break down. If you're like, no, you know what? I feel like my vibe as a teacher, because I really love weaves or, shoulder work or whatever it is, you're like, I would, so it's all just templates for you to use and examples that you are so welcome to change. You don't have to do. Some people totally copy and do exactly as I do. And that's an honor if you feel like that is right for you. And others are like, I'm going to shift it up and make it my own style, which I love. Okay. The art of teaching. This is so week by week. I hope that you recognize that week by week, I'm going to be guiding you through these modules. You can go back to them anytime you want. The art of teaching is one that's really, really close to me. It's like, how do I make connection? How do I go beyond the tricks and the transitions and the epic flow sessions and the playlist? It's my number one most important thing. How do I support the diversity in my class? How do I show up and teach a multi-level class? How do I deal with students that are just not getting it? How do I deal with students who are like surging ahead and so excited? And, so it's all those things, the art of being a great facilitator. And it's an ongoing practice that is separate and also combined with your hooping practice. And as you step into the role of teacher, I can guarantee while you are hooping, you'll be thinking about, how would I share this? How did I learn this? How would I teach this? How would I show up? And it's something that everyone developed. That you can't, like, I can give you all of the juice and all of the stuff that I have learned, but it's by being in connection with other people that you will witness yourself as a facilitator. But I'm here to support you with that. It's one of my great loves, how to be the best teacher you can be. Hoops. Whoa. Okay, some people love making them, some people don't. I am one of those people that don't. I have made thousands of hula hoops in my life for a long time. I had a shop and I sold them, but I don't do any of that anymore. And that's why I collaborate with awesome, rad humans around the planet. Hoopology is one of my favorite hoop pipe information suppliers. And so I have connected with those amazing, incredible humans. The reason why, number one, not just because of the epic diversity of what they offer and their supreme quality, it's their customer service. So it's the thing that I love the most about them. Anyway, in this module 6, we go into, should you make your hoops or should you buy them? What should you price them at? How do you make them? What are some of the other things? What are the pipe sizes? Where do you get it from? How do you do the math? Like all of the nitty gritty of hoop making and creation. And some of you will not want to make hoops, but you'll at least need a class set. So, so working out how to get that for your life. Okay. Module 7 is creating abundance. This is really, really essential because it's not just about making money, although that is important because hoops are not free, travel is not free, booking spaces or buying new outfits or whatever, all the things, they're not free. So making money to provide for your lifestyle and your career or your part-time gig or whatever it is really essential. But abundance to me is also about making connections, more students in your class, reaching out to community, that kind of stuff. And we get pretty strategic about it. It's like, how am I going to do this? I have worked out, along the way that it's about action taking. It's also about vision creating and then matching those two up, which is really, really powerful. Module 8 is the bonus resources. It's the things, the extra things that you might not even think about right now. It's the things that I had to come up with really quickly that helped to support me to be an epic hoop teacher. It's all the extra stuff, the class planning stuff. I think you can see on the screen, there's like little templates and marketing things and just the powerful bits and pieces that are going to help you as a teacher. And then we go into the revision and completion part. And I think Em asked the question, what adds up to make the grade for certification? And that is going through all of the modules. So in the past, Hoop Love Coach Training had an assessment, and at the end, you had to provide me with a video and a bio and a class plan. And you can still do that at the end of the 12 weeks, or if you need a bit of extra time beyond that, but they are no longer compulsory. And here's the reason why: because hoopers or teachers or beautiful humans would show up and they would go through the course, and then they would get to assessment and they would drop out because their camera battery died, or because they didn't have time that week to sit down and write their bio. That stuff doesn't matter. That's not the important thing. So people would get stressed out about assessment and then feel like they failed. Completion of this training is making sure that you go through everything, you stay connected with me, you're responding to emails. That is how you're going to complete this course. So there is no formal assessment anymore, but you can still send me any videos, you can still send me your bio, you can still send me your class plans for feedback. So it's this two-way communication. I hope that answers that question. I've said it a few times at the end. So throughout the whole course, you will be in the Hoop Love Coach training group. And then at the end, I will invite you to the global group that now, this is an old picture that now has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. A lot of people are like, oh, do I get a certificate? Yes, you get a certificate of completion, but please don't do this training with me for a certificate. That's really important. What I want you to do this for, or I want you to feel into if it's right for you, is because you're ready to step up and learn, because you're ready to have support, because you desire connection, because you don't want to do it alone. I mean, I've had so much incredible support over the time. If I had to do this alone, I'd be just like, it's hard. We don't have to do it alone. Do it for yourself. Do it for your career. If that's something that you're wanting to change up, do it because it will bring your life purpose. Do it because you want to be of service. Do it because growth and community and fun and passion. Don't do it for a certificate. I don't want you to do it for that. Again, it's not the paradigm. It's not what we're living in. We're living in growth and expansion and connection, not certification. But I'm here to help you. It's packed. It's mega. It's not some like wishy-washy. We're going in. You're going to be the best hoop teacher that you can be. Okay. Here is what it costs. You can do, this is all in Australian dollars. So if you're in the US, you are a lucky duck, because the Australian dollar is weak as. It all gets converted in a secure payment. It's online. So it will be converted into your currency, whatever your currency might be at this moment. It's a one-time payment of $397 Australian, or payment plans work for some people. So we've worked those out. You can find, we start on October 7. And for anyone who is either signing up, well, today was going to be the cutoff date, the 13th of September. Everyone who's signed up to this date, or I'll say by the end of this weekend, I'm pretty laxed with stuff like that, we're going to do a group planning session together. So that's a bonus, an extra bonus that we will do for the first bunch of amazing, awesome humans who sign up. And in that planning meeting, it will be different. It's not going to be on this platform. It's on a platform where we're on a video conference, so that we can get into the nitty gritty of like planning, preparing, setting up, because everyone has a little bit of a different idea and a vision. I want to hear those visions. I want to help you out with those visions, give you some insight and get you ready and prepared for the training and to kick goals in your community or your journey or your life. So that's the bonus. This is one of my favorite things. If you're sitting on the fence, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So do something. Do it. If you're like, oh, I don't know, I have that indecision, can drive me a little bit wild some days, because I'm like, should I not? If I keep doing what I've always done, I'm going to get what I've always gotten. So it's time for me to do something, whatever that might be. That side of the fence or that side of the fence. Are you in or are you just going to walk away? So that's how I talk to myself with compassion and love. So if you're in and you want to hang out with me for 12 weeks and then potentially the rest of your life, are you ready? I've been working with some of the coaches for so many years. We've just all become best friends all over the planet, which is so cool. hooplovecoaching.com. Come hang out with me. Yes, Julian is so ready. Me too. I get so excited. I only do this 3 times a year, and it always feels so massive and beautiful. Like it's my biggest excitement of the year. Should I say that? Forget my birthday, forget Christmas, forget like anniversaries. I'm like, yes, we're going in, we're doing this because it's my passion. So I'm so excited to team up with other people that want to co-create on that. Is there a cap on the number of students? You mean in the training or in your classes? In your classes, I mean, I have taught 1 student, private students to hundreds of students. Oh, in my training. Okay, thanks, Andrea. I don't normally put it at a cap. I would say that if there is like, if it's getting to be a too big group, where like group calls and things like that would be really challenging, then we would break it up into like smaller group calls. And the cool thing is, because most people are on different time zones and around the planet, I can run like several group calls and they won't be too like, you know, too hectic or too overloaded. Laura says, oh yeah, so if you have more questions, bring them on. I know some of you might want to jump away and I'll just keep answering questions for as long as you need. And if time's up or it's your bedtime, then thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you are listening to the re-recording or the recording of this, the replay, yeah, we might have some extra questions coming up. So Laura says, what do you typically charge for classes, or is that something that is discussed in the training? Yeah, we talk about pricing because it's going to be different. So I wish there was like one standard, like every hula hoop class on the planet is $50. Doesn't exist that way. And here's the reason why, because you may have your client or your students or thank you, Justine. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to start as well. And yeah, definitely be in contact. There's still time. We don't start until the 7th of October. So if you have questions, I'll be hanging out in my inbox. That is my email inbox. hello@hooploves.tv over the next lifetime. Julian, I'm so happy. Thank you. Laura says it was really helpful. And yes, Laura, talking about the pricing is different because your community will be different. You'll have different demographics. Corporates might pay a whole bunch of money, whereas like local women at the gym their price range might be a little bit lower. So it's about often it's about negotiating a price. It's about researching and picking a price that suits you and your community. Thank you, Justine. Thank you, Laura. Laura says totally makes sense. Yes. And yeah, we talk about that a whole bunch more. Getting rewarded, financially rewarded, and also matching up with your community is really powerful. Thank you so much, Laura. If there's any more questions, let me know. I know there's a few more people who are hanging out, but if not, have an amazing day, night, week, weekend, and either see you in the Hoop Love Coach training or see you on my inbox or see you hopefully in real life. That would be awesome. Thank you, Mary Helen. Thank you, Lorette. You are an inspiration too. It's really powerful to be connected with you, and I always love it so much. All right. Yay. Great questions. Amazing humans. Thank you so much for digging deep and also helping other people who will be tuning into this. I am going to see you again really soon. Big love. Thank you. Mwah.